Herman, by the late 1970s, the whole concept of problem-oriented policing is really beginning to crystallize. Had a chance to think about the Bar Foundation work and your experiences in Chicago. You've got these experiments with the Madison Police Department on drunk driving and repeat sexual offenders. At this point, perf played an important role in disseminating it nationally. Can you explain parts of how perf did that?
Well, because Gary and I had a very, very close relationship, as having been in a student role, and we worked together for 3 years, not really toward the end, more as colleagues than students, than as student faculty. So when Gary came to perf, he pushed me a great deal to develop some programs and advance the concept. But he did more on his own than I was able to do. One of the things that he did was make it the subject of a whole series of seminars for the membership of perf, which then was very small and selected.
I guess we should add that perf is a new national professional association of chiefs and high-ranking managers in police departments. It had much more of a research focus than other professional associations.
Right. It's built into the title that this was this was a commitment of police chiefs who were also committed to doing research.
Right. And this reflected the influence of your early work and thinking about research is important in policing.
And we thought that it was important to incorporate that into a police leadership role. And the perf was very limited at the beginning to just 20 chiefs, all of whom sort of wrote a statement saying, "I'm committed to this stuff, and I don't care what the results are going to be. It's important that they get out." Right. And that was a very important thing, because there was a big controversy about some administrators approving of research, but when the results came out and challenged some of the things that were going on, that there was some moves to suppress it. And so this was a commitment to openness.
Right. And so perf sponsors some of the first really major projects.
Yes. Gary obtained funding from what was the then federal agency, I forget if it was LEAA or one of its subsequent incarnations, to fund some problem-oriented projects in a number of communities.
5 total?
I forget if it was 4 or 5, but Newport was one of, actually perf's first effort related to Baltimore County, and then Newport News, and then after Newport News there were these 4 or 5 agencies, Tulsa, San Diego, and a few others. The Baltimore experiment was a coincidental sort of thing in which they were just moving toward a very strong commitment to adding personnel to a prevention program. And so perf, in his close collaboration with the then head of the Baltimore County Police Department, encouraged Neil Behan to make problem-oriented policing the organizing theme of that new group of officers. So the officers were committed to problem-oriented policing, and that was very intensive. We did a lot of training with them, and the significance of that project was it took problem-oriented policing from studies at the department level down to officers and demonstrated that they had the capacity for looking at specific problems and bringing creative responses to them.
Right. And the other important perf project was in Newport News, Virginia.
Yeah.
We have the report problem solving.
Newport News followed Baltimore County, where the chief was Darrell Stevens, and that was much more ambitious. It was funded by federal funds.
NIJ?
NIJ, and it was an effort and it had the support of perf in the form of several researchers, John Eck and Bill Spellman, who worked with the Newport department to take on a number of different projects and problems, and to demonstrate how intensive examination of those problems and development of creative responses could impact it. And it was significant in that it was thoroughly evaluated in a very rigorous sort of way, and the results were published.
Right. What were some of the problems?
Problems in Newport News, there was a very large apartment complex where the area defined the problem, Briarcliff, and where the whole study was what was going on at Briarcliff, what were the landlord-tenant relationships, why these problems there, and that resulted in a total reorganization of the apartment complex and its management.
But you were working with really private individuals, landlords, and with other government agencies.
Right.
What, sanitation?
Sanitation people. It demonstrated the need to coordinate with all other city agencies, building inspection, and the police department served as the coordinating force. And also, it was the first time that a municipal police department confronted a federal agency that was responsible for this apartment complex and challenged them to get involved and to respond differently to this particular local problem.
And the standard approach, the old-fashioned approach, was just more cops.
Wait for the calls to come, respond to the calls, and take reports.
Right. If there's a upsurge in crime, more cops, more patrolling, and then finally that fades away. So this is a much more of the new problem-solving approach. And the Newport News officers themselves were involved in the thinking and the planning.
Yes, this was a team of officers who worked in Bar Cliff, and a lead officer, and it demonstrated another whole dimension of policing, that problem-oriented policing has a way of being able to empower officers at the bottom of an organization, giving them a new sense of purpose, a new sense of satisfaction in their work, and a real sense of contribution to dealing with problems that otherwise the thinking officer gets terribly frustrated by.
Right. And the report on Newport News, problem solving, disseminated widely. I think had a huge influence in terms of spreading influence. What other ways did the idea of problem-oriented policing really begin to take hold nationally?
Well, there was a subsequent project in which they perf launched projects in 4 or 5 communities. They had the funds with which to assign an analyst, a coordinator to each of the communities, and there was a requirement for coordination, or at least sharing of experiences. And the San Diego project took the leadership in saying, let's get together and hold a conference and compare notes. And that was the beginning of what has become an annual tradition now of having an annual conference on problem-oriented policing, at which people from all over the country, initially just from those agencies, but subsequently from all agencies, to come together to reflect on what's been done in the past year, both in terms of research and in terms of actual implementation, and what can we learn from them.
So other departments would send officers, and they would come and learn, and that's how they...
That grew from 60, 70 people at the first meeting to way up, I think at its height, I think it may have been something like 1,600 who were coming together in San Diego to share in the reports and in the discussions of what had been accomplished in the past year.
And at the POF conference, they give an award every year?
Yes, they introduced an award, I forget which year, where they have a competition for agency to submit descriptions of their problem-solving efforts. There's a panel, a group of people who review those projects, those submissions, and then select the winners, and then the winners present at the conference. So it was a way of trying to institutionalize that and bring to the conference the best practices of the past year.
And you're being very modest. It's actually the Herman Goldstein Award.
I appreciate that.
Right.